Namaskar, my friends, and welcome back to the Force Niyama podcast. My name is Katerina Fyaduk, and in this episode, I continue my conversation with Eyal Shifroni, a senior Iyengar yoga teacher from Israel. Join us as we explore how a practitioner of yoga should look and approach global crisis. What should a yoga teacher be mindful of when promoting their work on social media in order to remain authentic and avoid becoming commercial? And how could yoga transform not only an individual, but the whole society? Eyal, we find ourselves in very difficult times, with crises unfolding globally, like geopolitical crisis, economic and ecological. How, in your opinion, a practitioner of yoga should look and approach this world crisis? What advice would you offer on finding the balance between being aware and engaged and not being agitated?
Yes, okay. So it's a good question, very interesting, because now in Israel we are facing also difficult situation, and many people fall into negative thinking and despair, pessimism, which I think is not helpful at all. You know, there is a saying that optimists and pessimists eventually die, all of them. So it's better to be optimist. Why to be pessimist? But I think it's really human suffering was always and will probably always continue. And the Buddha often, his statue is a little smile on his face. Then you can ask how he was so much aware of the human suffering, but still there's a smile because he also was aware of the joy that there is in life and the wonder of life. So it's not only there is suffering; there's more than this. And when we practice compassion, it is to be open to the suffering of yourself and of other people. Karuna, Maitri Karuna, little picture. So something that the yogi should practice compassion. But if you see somebody suffering, and then by getting close to it, you also suffer. So we had one person suffering, now we had two. We have two. So we didn't decrease the suffering. Compassion is about alleviate suffering in the world. But if you also suffer, so you just increase the suffering. So you have to find a way how to be able to be open and ready to meet suffering of yourself and other people, but without getting into despair and without getting into negative thinking and continue. Part of it is the understanding that you cannot control everything. That actually you can control very little, and you cannot solve, the suffering, all the suffering in the world, because then you get overwhelmed and you will not be able to continue to practice compassion because there's so much suffering. Especially in our region now, in both sides. So my approach is to be engaged in whatever you can and to make the best effect on your own environment, the things that you can control. You can control how you react, and the way that you react will maybe influence some other people around you. And this is what you can do. So just do it without going, too many, what would be the situation, how this will, how this ecological crisis will go. We cannot control. And in this way, we have to be humble to understand that we can only do a little bit. So let's do it without, getting overwhelmed by a situation. And there is a beautiful book, actually. It's called The Gift of Anger. Did you hear about it? It's about the grandson of Mahatma Gandhi, which is a very optimistic book. And he was very engaged in activities for peace and for human rights and so on. And he wrote about it, how his granddaddy influenced. Because when he was a child, actually, he came to the ashram of Mahatma Gandhi. And Mahatma Gandhi raised him. This book shows, talks about very difficult problems, but in a very optimistic way. So I recommend it. I recommend to read it.
I'll
It's
note
called
it.
the Gift of India.
Okay, I'll note it down. You mentioned a linkage between mind and body and the duality that Western philosophy creates about mind is one entity, body is other entity, so there is division. And Guruji and yoga speaks about non-duality, that through the practice of asana we experience the elimination of these dualities. And this is exactly what we are taught in Vipassana courses. And while practicing Vipassana, we not only learn about it, but we also experience it. So I was excited to learn that you've been practicing Vipassana meditation too. And as a Vipassana practitioner myself, I'm very tempted to ask you about your experience of combining Vipassana meditation and yoga practice, and if Vipassana helped you or affected your yoga practice in any way, and has it enriched your yoga practice in any way?
Yes, certainly yes. And my yoga practice enriches the meditation. I think it's a ideal combination, which is very wholesome for me. The Iyengar yoga, because he said that he didn't teach meditation as such. He said that he is meditating in the asanas or the pranayama, his practice, and I'm sure it is true. But for me, this element is missing in Iyengar yoga, because he said you cannot teach technique of meditation. It is something that has to come naturally from the practice of asana and pranayama. And I'm sure for him it was working, because you saw how deep he got with everything, with his practice. But for me, it was missing. And I got a lot from, I study Buddhism, not only, not only Vipassana, but I study philosophy of Buddhism, even academically, but also practically. And I think it is combined very well with the practice. Like the Iyengar yoga is more the lab where I, exercise these ideas. But in Buddhism, there's so much discourse about philosophy, which also in Iyengar, of course, in yoga, there is Patanjali, there is Bhagavad Gita, there are Hatha Yoga Pradipika. But somehow the Buddhist philosophy is so well defined, and is so like to the point. There is suffering, cause of suffering. There is a prognosis. You can go out of suffering, then there is the way. So it is so well defined. I find it very, inspiring to study this philosophy. And I think the opportunity like that, you take a week, concentrate only on this, on observing yourself in silence, is a wonderful way, wonderful opportunity, long hours of meditations. I'm part of the Insight Vipassana Association. So I know I did one, the Goenka, 10 days. So I prefer the Insight meditation approach, which is a little bit softer. And I practice, they don't care that you practice other things. There are even 45 minutes in the morning before breakfast for self-practice, physical practice, they call it. But for me, it's not physical only. But I take also the breakfast time. So I get like 2 hours of practice. And the practice in this silence, it's very special also, because you are with yourself, with all this silence, no stimuli from outside. So the practice becomes very good. So this is one of the things that I like in Vipassana, to have these 2 hours of good practice in the morning. Yeah, but not only that, of course, the whole environment of long hours of meditation, silence, the Dharma talks, about subject from Buddhism. I think that it's a pity that not more people combine this Iyengar yoga and Vipassana. And I try to promote it, and I did many workshops with Vipassana teachers. So I hope more people will be interested in this combination because I think it's very useful for self-development and self-study.
Now you have shared that you have your personal social media manager in the face of your daughter. So there is a certain, again, a delicate topic of social media and Iyengar yoga teachers. So just yoga teachers. You and a couple of more Iyengar yoga teachers are the reason why I'm still using this platform. So what would be your guidance to a junior Iyengar yoga teacher who wants to authentically promote their work on social media, and what they should be mindful of to remain this authentic voice and not to become fake or commercial?
So I think, first of all, our Guruji also used, for him, his life mission was to spread yoga. And he did everything he could in, technology of his time, the books and then the videos and the presentation, demonstration, everything he could to open it to more and more people. And he said, yoga is for all. One of his slogans, yoga is for all. And he really implemented it by his approach. So I think we should follow him. We should spread yoga as much as we can. But we have to keep it yoga without sacrificing the values of yoga for commercial. So if you do it not for your own, benefit, but for spreading yoga, then it is important, I think. Also, we cannot deny that you have to make a living. If you want to be a teacher, somehow you have to make a support your family. So it's not to condemn using social media, but you have to keep the yama and yama, and to have pure intention that what you want really is not for egoistic, but for to spreading yoga, to bring more people to yoga, and not to use like some nice girl to use the body in order to. So this is, I think, not aligned with the values of yoga, yama and yama. So as long as you keep this ethics in the social media, it is an important tool. We use the modern technology. You can use it for the bad and you can use it for the good. So since Guruji used it a lot, we can also do it.
I wonder how would Instagram account of Guruji look like?
He promoted, he published, videos of his demonstration, of his teaching, and he really was, very active promoting yoga. Yes, many things that I see in the Instagram are disturbing a little bit because it's not yoga. Especially I don't like when they play it so quickly. Sometimes they take a clip and they make it like 4 times faster because they want. But yoga should be done slowly, not quickly. Stay in the asana. So, and also using, the nice body. Yoga is for all, also for the old people with injuries, with problems. Just showing nice girls doing asanas.
If Iyengar yoga teachers just say that we leave Instagram and what is promoted in Instagram is not for us, then where would be the counterforce for whatever has done there? So at some point it has to be created, and people should see that there is other side of Instagram where more genuine and authentic messages are expressed, and some teachers, Iyengar yoga teachers, take it very creatively. Like you see usage not only of the chair, but of some other things that you could find at home. And I think it's beautiful.
And you can study from it, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, new things. Yeah. Sometimes I learn new usages of props from Instagram. I don't, I found Instagram quite boring. Maybe I'm old generation, but definitely we cannot. I don't think we should ignore the technology because the world is going there, so we cannot stay behind. But we have to do it. in a yogic way, to have the pure intention.
For sure. So, on this note, what would be your message to Iyengar yoga practitioners today?
Continue your practice. Yeah, be pure in your practice. Continue your svadhyaya, your self-study. And by this, you remember that you practice not only for yourself, because whatever you do will affect also other people. The way you behave. Understand that yoga is not just, acrobatics. It's not just about doing, things with the body. It's about becoming a better human being. Be more compassionate, more considerate, more generous, and more supporting for other people. So if you pursue yoga in this direction, then we can make a difference. We can make a change. Because yoga is a big movement now. We have to continue to develop yoga, to spread yoga, but according to the ethics of yoga, the values of yoga. Yeah, yoga will transform you. It's a positive transformation for the individual, but also for the society. In many aspects, it is sick now because of this Kali Yuga.
What is it?
Kali Yuga. According to yoga philosophy, yoga is age. I don't know exactly the word in English, but it's a long period of time. And the Kali Yuga is a time, the yoga when it's not yoga, it's yoga, when the world will be destroyed, and then a new world will come after that, which will be better. Or according to Hinduism, the universe is going in circles of creation and destruction. The Kali Yuga is a time of destruction. So probably we are there now. Maybe something good will come out of it. Not for us, at least for children or grandchildren.
Is Iyengar yoga practiced in your family?
Yes, my wife is practicing Iyengar yoga since she met me more than 30 years ago. She's a therapist, psychotherapist, but she goes to classes twice a week. Once with me, once with another teacher in my center. My 4 children were practicing on and off, everyone. But now my 2 young daughters are practicing. And the youngest one, she is now 28, she participated in my teacher training 1 year. And then she started to study music in Holland. So she didn't have time to continue and finish the course, but she's still practicing. And one day she wants to be a yoga teacher. I hope she will be. Now music is for herself, is the first priority. So I never told them to practice yoga, and the only thing I want them is to be happy. So whatever they do, I never pushed them to practice yoga, but yoga was always there in the house. So they know about it. Also, my eldest daughter, she wanted to be a yoga teacher, and she started to teach in my center also, but then she had some kind of sickness that she's more limited in the body. So she also went to psychotherapy. She's a therapist.
So everyone, in one way or another, picked up a path of
Yes.
healing and self-exploration.
Yeah, they are all kind of artists. The small one in music, the second one in photography and creation, the one that is doing the instrument. My son is in music. My eldest daughter is in therapy, and she's also a poet. She just published a poetry book. She writes very beautiful poems.
Also in Hebrew or in
In
English?
Hebrew, yes. If there are more questions, I'll be happy to answer. It was nice talking to you.
Yes, it was lovely talking to you. If there is anything more that you want to share, you have the opportunity.
Yeah, thank you for giving me this opportunity to express myself. for this
Thank you.
nice interview.
Thank you so much. Thank you for tuning in. You could listen to more interviews of other Iyengar yoga teachers directly at the Force Niyama website or on the platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Pocket Casts. I welcome you to help me shape the Force Niyama podcast so that as many yoga students as possible can benefit from it. If you are an Iyengar yoga student yourself and you have a certain question that you want to ask a senior teacher, you could share your question with me and I will make sure it gets answered. Contact me at hello@theforceniyama.com. Take care and see you in the next episode.